Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body, holistic life approach.
Hi, how are you? This is Damaris Maria Grossman, doctor and integrative family nurse practitioner, and welcome to the Mindful Integrative podcast and YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us in today. And our episode is going to be a mindful chat with Nicole Croes. She is many things, but above all, she's an integrative mama. She is an editor, a writer, a chef, and a marketer strategist. So she knows her stuff. There's so much here to dive in, but I look forward to chatting with her and she'll tell you more about her. So hi, Nicole. How are you? Thanks for joining us on the show. And, first, how are you today? And then dive in to tell the audience more about yourself.
Good today. Feeling really great. As Damaris laid out, I'm a working mom. So I'm doing well, a little tired, but
a little tired. You're an integrative mom and you're mama. So being tired, I'm a mama too. I get it. It's a work in progress every day, right?
Yeah. But awesome.
But overall awesome. Yeah. So what, tells us a little bit about, or let's start off of what does somebody not know about you? Like a little fun fact that they don't know about you.
Okay, so a fun fact is that I was one credit shy of a minor in acting, and I did an off Broadway play in New York.
Oh my God, you're in acting. That's fun. So what did you play? What did you do?
It was a showcase of all different plays. And the name of our play was Hooters, which is a real play. It has nothing to do with the restaurant or anything like that.
That's hilarious. That's a nice start for the interview. That's pretty. Did you have a good time?
It was fun. I love acting. It's something that I'm kind of a shy person, so it sort of gets me out of being shy, and it's really challenging. I couldn't do it every day, but when I get to do it, I love it.
That's really cool. Mine, plus all of the other things that you've done in your career. So let's talk about, a little bit about how you're an integrative mama and your story of kind of how you've come to this place and, discuss maybe a struggle and a success to kind of where you're at now.
I would say probably the integrative part of me started when I was really, really young. I had a dairy allergy from just a few months old. And then I was told that I was over it. I was actually fine with dairy for many years. And then all of a sudden in my teen years, it sort of hit me again. And I went through a period where I was really sick for several months. I got really super skinny. Doctors were telling my parents that maybe I was on diet pills, that I was,
oh, wow.
That maybe I had an eating disorder, all different kinds of things. But it later came to fruition that this allergy had maybe just been dormant, or because it was an intolerance, that I was actually just handling dairy okay for a few years and it came back with a vengeance. So
wow.
Once I cut that dairy out, I felt better. And I think that from there, I've had sort of a series of learning about different food allergies. I've sort of learned along the way that if you have one, usually you have more than one.
Mm-hmm.
They don't express themselves until you're older. So I had a similar situation happen maybe 2 or 3 years ago where I couldn't really figure out why I was so fatigued and breaking out with hives. And that very long journey short, turned out that I had potentially celiac, but just in general, a fairly severe gluten allergy.
Yeah, they call it gluten sensitivity, and it is an allergy, but it's a sensitivity. But doesn't mean just because you don't have celiac does not mean that you are not like a non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So just because you don't have celiac does not mean your body is rejecting the gluten. So that, I mean, it's severe. Like you're saying, it was a pretty severe case for you.
I'm not sure how it is compared to others, but for myself, I know.
Yeah. But detrimental.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was, I would go to work. And then on my lunch break, I would go to sleep in the car because I felt every day like I had a fever. I felt like there was something very serious wrong with me. And I was actually getting really scared. I even had a false positive on a Lyme's disease test, and my body's just all out of whack.
Oh my gosh. And then you just felt like not yourself, like a brain fog, fatigue, and just all of those things. Now, how did you kind of transition to help yourself with that? Was it just the eliminating the gluten and the dairy, or how did you work that out and how did you learn?
So initially I was seeing a really wonderful integrative functional medicine doctor, and she just ran a panel of tests and discovered that my nutrients were really low and I had an overgrowth of candida. So I started there. And when I was on my diet, I was great. As I started to incorporate foods back, I think the pendulum swung back because I didn't realize that I had this dairy allergy.
Gotcha.
And it never occurred to me that was the issue because I had been able to absorb and digest dairy just fine, gluten just fine for so many years. So finally, as a last ditch effort, I had pretty much eliminated everything at that point, and I didn't know where else to turn. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to cut out the gluten again and see what happens. And it took a few months. And then all of a sudden it was like my body just transitioned and back to wellness.
Yeah. I mean, you got me more into it myself, and that being on that gluten and dairy free, I know that I have less brain fog and I feel better. But in addition to that, you also are a chef in the nutritional and the like natural food kind of way. So you not only were doing this for yourself, but you kind of learned it to be a specialty. Like, you're not as much in that realm now, but you know a lot of that area already, don't you?
Yeah. I think it was around 2009, I went to the Natural Gourmet. And the reason the name just spaced on me is because they actually, I think, were incorporated into ICE, the Institute for Culinary Education, rather recently-ish. But yes, I went to health supportive culinary school, and I was a personal chef for clients, most of whom had some sort of autoimmune issue and had to eliminate certain foods in their diet and were struggling to figure out what to eat.
Wow. So you really were able, you kind of identified different things that, like what was like a typical client patient. I would call them patient. You would call them client that you had to help, being we'll talk about you being as a mom, but how you had to help these other, clients.
Yeah. So one of my clients in specific was actually a 6-year-old, and his mother was desperate to figure out what she could feed to her child who was suffering from multiple allergies and all kinds of different ailments. And basically they had seen their doctor and had a laundry list of all the foods that he could not eat. And so every day I think she was making, like chicken and sweet potatoes, which are wonderful, but after a while it gets, a little boring, stressful to figure out new foods. So basically I started meal prepping and planning autoimmune paleo type of meals for this child. And it was kind of nice to see him exploring, him and his family, because they all went down this journey with him, exploring new foods and new versions of maybe favorite foods. So, a healthy allergy-free version of a pizza or a bolognese or things like that. And just incorporating new vegetables and new items so that he can actually experience food in a really fun and exciting way, as opposed to just feeling so limited by it.
That's really amazing. And the crazy thing now is like, you've used that education for yourself and for your family because you're a mom, right? So, like if you want to touch base on being a mom and how have you incorporated like being integrative for you and your family? Like, what is that for you guys?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, when my son was born, I had always worried that he would have an allergy because I did. And when I started switching him to formula, at first he took it really well. And I thought, oh, well, this is great. He didn't inherit my dairy allergy. Flash forward maybe a few months, it took a little bit for the intolerance to kick in. He kind of, and you actually were the first one who came up and helped me. He seemed like he had a cold and he was just constantly congested and spitting up. And very long story short, it turned out that he too had a dairy allergy. So I think having this education.
We share that together now. My son too. No, I swear and so being that you know that he's had this dairy allergy, what have you implemented in your family and for him? Or is it now that you guys as a whole, what do you guys do? Just a couple tips for our listeners.
Well, for first and foremost, if anyone does have a child with a dairy allergy and they need to figure out a formula, we use a pea protein that was recommended by our integrative pediatrician. And so
who's amazing, Dr. Rosen. He's going to be on our show soon. So the listeners will get to listen to him soon.
I'm sure that'll be wonderful because he is so knowledgeable. So that was a big deal because finding, I think, formula is really challenging. If you're trying to take, you read labels and you can kind of go down that rabbit hole, it can be really challenging to figure out where to turn. So I think that was something I was really blessed with to have a doctor who can direct us there. And then other than that, I think that, we do vitamins as well that we incorporate into the bottle, D, fish oil, and probiotics. Mm-hmm. And then as a family, I think we predominantly eat, I hate to label because I know everyone kind of interprets different diets a little differently, but sort of paleo-esque meat, lots of vegetables. I'm a big believer in the Michael Pollan theory of, eat real food, not too much, mostly plants.
Love it. Love it. I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, the more simpler whole foods that you're eating makes more sense. I mean, it naturally is gluten-free by doing that. You know what I mean? And naturally is like dairy-free by being like that. And I try to explain that to some of my listeners or just in general people that you start eating, like you said, more plants and whole, you're not having all that extra crap, shall we say. Have you noticed for your son, he's been able, his behavior is better from it, changed? Because I know that for me on my end, it was a dramatic difference.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he went from being really congested and we just thought it was, just general baby reflux, which maybe part of it was, but just the constant sort of level of, excuse me, but spit up was pretty startling. And so to kind of see that all dissipate and the congestion was gone and, and it makes sense, right? Dairy can be very mucus forming. And so and then just him take to food really well and take to the formula really well. And eventually incorporating that with, some light sleep training, he was sleeping better. So I think that all things combined, he really benefited from that particular switch and, just from getting off something that was bothering him.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. When you kind of transition, well, obviously your entire family is very holistic mindset on what you put in your body. And I think that's so important. I think telling other moms out there that it's possible. I think they need to know that, like, can you be a mom and work and prepare healthy meals for your kid and your family? Is it possible to be mindful of that? Even if it's not a simple, you don't have to be like, do you have any little tidbits? I try to prep a little bit. I'm not amazing at it, but
yeah, I think first and foremost, having really great tools in your kitchen, for example, an Instapot, because you can throw a whole
Instapot, right.
bunch of veggies, potatoes, and that'll be done in 20 minutes. So that's been a lifesaver for me because if I don't cook till the end of the day, I don't have several hours for the oven to do its job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one really positive tip is to, if you can get an Instapot or something or even a crock pot, if you can put your food in the morning and then have it by the end of the day, something that just sort of takes a lot of the babysitting out of it. Like you don't have time to sit there and stir and to wait for the timer. You can just set it and forget it. I would say that is the biggest help for me. And I would say secondly, sometimes you do just have to order. You forgot to defrost something, you're running late. And I think knowing how to order properly from a menu so that you're not just kind of turning to things that aren't going to make you feel well is also really important too. So,
you're mindful about everything that you put in your body. So even when you're ordering on that, that online or wherever your restaurant, you're realizing I have to make the better choice. It doesn't always have to be 100% healthy, but you're making a better choice for your stomach so that you're not having these inflammatory responses, correct?
Right. So even if, ideally I'd love to cook, but it didn't happen today. A big go-to right now, my son is about 10 months old, and I've been getting him chicken salad. So a garden salad where there's tomatoes, cucumbers, things that he has a couple of teeth. So things that I can put into really bite-sized pieces and chicken that he can just sort of munch on. And I feel like at least I've done something positive, even though maybe I didn't have an opportunity to cook. I don't feel like I've resorted to something that is, maybe unhealthy or that wouldn't make him feel well.
That makes so much sense. In your time, like not just as a mom, I mean, you're like chef, marketing strategist, and like all of your, goals that you've accomplished through these years. Has there been like a success or a struggle that you felt? I mean, I think your dietary reasons seem like a major one, or something that has inspired you to, make sure that you keep this path.
Yeah, I think that ultimately this recent bout about 2 years ago with gluten really changed me, because even though I'd always known the real healing power of food and eating well, I was really at a bad place with my health, and it was starting to really scare me. And so eating better food and sort of recovering from that was enough for me to really want to sort of stay on this path. For me, when I personally look at something that's filled with gluten, a lot of people ask, like, are you tempted? Do you miss bagels? And honestly, I can say, for one, there's enough replacement foods out there that are gluten-free. But B, I just recall how badly I felt, and I just don't even want it. I don't even think about it. So that integrative approach is just now kind of ingrained in my mindset now.
It's ingrained in your mind. It's just who you are. Like, and when, I mean, I tell that to people on a regular, that I can't change my whole health thinking. This is who I am. And it's part of my, like, it's a mindful way I am each and every day, because if I'm not, I'm going to feel like not myself, whether it's crappy or I just don't feel who I should be. I'm not bringing the best of myself. So I'm assuming you probably don't feel like you're bringing the best of who you could be.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally that if I started eating gluten again, I'd be down for the count. And so it's just not a place, obviously, you want to be. There's no food to me right now that's worth that experience.
That makes a lot of sense. Is there something that you would like to share with our audience? Obviously, you've been mindful with your food, but I also know that you've kind of followed the path in yoga and been a teacher on that realm. Do you, when you have time, find your mindful moments with that? If you were a yoga teacher also.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I trained at Ishta Yoga in New York, and I taught a little bit in New York and also in Denver. And try to incorporate that too, right? That's kind of the key definition of holistic and integrative is not just the food, but also, are you taking deep breaths? Are you moving your body? Are you stretching? Are you walking? Are you drinking water? All these things that seem so small, but they're the first things that go out the window when we get busy. So kind of constantly reminding myself that if I want to be good for work and for my child and for my husband and for my friends and my life, these are the things I have to always remind myself to do. And it is, it's not easy, and I'm not perfect. I don't think anybody is, but yeah.
No, it's work in progress. That's where I find our imperfections make us like better. So it's a work in progress. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be everything figured out, but it's like every mindful moment it's important. It's like, be present now. This is what I got to do today. Okay. And sometimes it's a minute, right? Like, oh, this minute. Yeah. All right. This next 20 minutes. All right.
Minute by minute, right? Or half an hour by half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I really appreciate you chatting with us today on the show. And do you have an inspiring quote or anyone that you like resonate with that when you're going to kind of reach to, or a book or something that kind of helps inspire you?
Yeah. I think this quote is from Horton Hears a Who. I'm not sure, but I absolutely love it. And it's, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
I love it. Oh, that's beautiful. Perfect. You got to hear that again. And we'll have to put that in the show notes just in case other people ask. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And what else can we share about you, or how people can get a hold of you, marketing strategist, entrepreneur, woman of many of things that you do are just amazing. So how can we get a hold of you, and what else can you share with us today?
Yeah, I'll happily drop my LinkedIn link. I think that's the social media channel I use most. Admittedly, I haven't used Instagram in a minute, but I'm slowly making my way back to it. So handles for LinkedIn and Instagram. And if anybody has questions about food allergies, I sometimes find that talking to other people who have been through it, and who know the recipes and who know the ropes can really be helpful. So anyone who's listening out there who might be struggling with something similar, or their child who has an allergy or formula issues, you're always welcome to just chat to me. I'm not a medical profession like Damaris, but I've been through it. So if you want to talk,
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have a medical background to really know this area. And that's why I really am so passionate about the podcast, because I just believe that everyone has something that's brought them to this. And your story is a perfect example of that, and all of your struggles that have kind of brought you to getting healthier for you and your family. So I really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for being here. Check Nikki Croes out, Nicole Croes, the marketing strategist, the chef, the integrative mama, and writer editor. She's a woman of many amazing expertise. So Mindfully Integrative podcast audience, thank you so much for listening today. And I hope that you find a mindful way each and every day. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not the substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on her social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.